School board meeting for Monday, December 9, 2024. And we will start with our roll.
Ms. Davis?
Here.
Mr. Reben?
Present.
Ms. Lewis is here. Ms. Melton?
Here.
Ms. Rodriguez?
Here.
Mr. Ross?
Here.
Ms. Shockey?
Here.
Ms. Wade?
She's in the parking lot.
She's on her way in.
She's on her way, okay. Ms. Williams is here.
Present.
We have a quorum.
All right, wonderful. Next, we need approval of our agenda items. All in favor of the agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. I'm not sure why that happened. Okay, so we have approval of our agenda. First up is celebrations, Dr. Roby.
All right, so good evening, everyone. We are excited to share some celebrations. We're going to first begin with the 2024 Superintendent and Board Holiday Card. So if I can have Mr. Van Til come up to tee us up related to our holiday card.
Get a little tech support. It sounds like a very ominous arrival that she's getting.
Did you cause that?
I think so. Oh, hold on a second. That works.
All right, before you go, I'm going to ask our tech team to kind of address this with the feedback, please.
Check. All right, good. Dr. Roby, President Williams, the board, it's great to see you. I'm really excited to introduce this year's holiday card. A little bit about the holiday card. Scholars from 23 different GRPS schools submitted works of art to this year's card. Scholars, 54 original works of art were selected out of over 80 submissions. Scholars from Coit Creative Arts Academy's Honor Choir performed and produced the song All Around the World under the direction, very capable direction, of music teacher Ms. Deborah Perry. GRPS Communications Department Visual Content Manager Evan Linnert mastered the final video production. And without further ado, I'm excited to, I realize you guys don't have video monitors, so the video content's behind you. So let me get this, and I'll cue up for video. Thank you, Dr. Roby and board, for that. You were able to make that last scene. We appreciate that. As you can tell, lots of schools, lots of creative energy. I mean, 54 works of art, that's hours and hours and hours and hours of work up there, and we couldn't be prouder of the scholars and the art teachers and the music, the Coit music team and the Coit Honors Choir and the kids that were involved in that production. They all received invitations, the teachers received invitations, and through the teachers, scholars and families received invitations, and we have some here. And so, oops, hold on there we go. I'd like to stand, anyone involved in this, if you're a scholar, artist, scholar, musician, art teacher, music teacher, participated in the creation of this year's card, please stand up and be recognized. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Van Til, and to our artists and musicians and vocalists, thank you for sharing your talent. It's just always beautiful to hear the voices and see the talents of our young people, so we certainly appreciate and applaud you. Our next celebration, I'm going to invite Mr. Chad Nilsson up, as well as the Kiwanis Club Annual Dictionary team up to share their generosity.
Good evening, Dr. Roby, President Williams, and members of the board. It is my pleasure to introduce a longtime community partner of Grand Rapids Public Schools. This here is Mr. Jan Truer. He is the Kiwanis Club president, the Golden K Kiwanis Club president. For the last 18 years, they have done some awesome work with schools across West Michigan donating dictionaries to third grade students. They've donated over 25,000 dictionaries to date, and this year they were able to donate 1,115 dictionaries to our third grade students across 63 different classrooms. So we want to extend a thank you and a celebration to our awesome partners at Kiwanis, and at this time I'll give Mr. Jan an opportunity to speak.
Well, thank you very much, and we certainly have been blessed to be able to do this for 18 years. I trust that all of you have received maybe this little pamphlet. This year we are dedicating our distribution of dictionaries to Dr. John Pileman, veteran of World War II. We just celebrated his 100th anniversary, or I shouldn't say anniversary, but his birthday. And he was hopefully going to be here tonight, but it just isn't working out the way we had hoped. But he was a navigator on a B-17 bomber in World War II and received an honorable discharge from the military. And as we approach the 80th anniversary of the end of World War II, we thought it would be very appropriate to honor him with this distribution. And as has been said, over 18 years we've distributed 25,000 of these dictionaries to the third graders of Grand Rapids. And one of the things that we appreciate about these dictionaries is that other than just being a dictionary, there's a gazetteer on the back, which gives them information about all 50 states in our country, biographical sketches of the presidents of the United States, periodic table, which I suspect they're not going to be using too quickly, but there's a lot of information in this publication, and we're very pleased and happy that we can do this for them on a yearly basis. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for your care and concern, and certainly a happy Centurion celebration for your colleague. 100 years, that's a milestone. So,
Thank you.
Thank you. All righty. Next, we have our report from our scholar representative. We have Fabiola with us tonight.
And
Do you
Rima.
have something you'd like to report?
Yes, I do.
Oh, Rima, okay. I didn't see you come in.
Okay. Well, first, related to the Superintendent Student Advisory Council, over 500 scholars in GRPS have identified with issues of homelessness. And the advisory wants to raise awareness and remove these barriers. At one of our meetings, members from the GRPS office came and presented, which led them to updating the informational flyer related to homelessness. And now there's a scan code so you can be served more efficiently. On Wednesday, this Wednesday, we will be volunteering at Mel Trotters and to say thank you to the children and the families of Grand Rapids and also to give back to the community. Also related to City, City just recently hosted a blood drive on December 3rd, and it had a great turnout, and we were able to reach our goal amount of blood donated. Also, the Be Nice Club at City is hosting their annual pizza party, and this pizza party is to get City students together so that they can meet others, and it's also a way to raise awareness about mental health and also fight the stigma that comes with mental health. At Ottawa Hills, the girls varsity basketball team, they had their first 2 home games, and they won, fortunately, against West Michigan Aviation and Kelloggsville, and they'll also be competing against Northview tomorrow. So make sure to tune in.
Thank you so much. And then we also have Ms. Rima.
So,
Rima, if you pull the microphone a little closer, please.
okay, so Union High School, we are hosting a holiday celebration for the first graders this Thursday, where we have about 300 first graders come in, and each one would be paired with a high schooler, and they will have a couple hours of fun where they do cookie decorating, get to know Union High School's building a little bit, and get a t-shirt that says Future Red Hawks. So that's really nice. And then homecoming for Union went amazing. We were told that it was the best homecoming so far, so very much thank you to Student Council for that. And then Union High School is hosting another blood drive on February 19th. So if anyone, all appointments are available. If anyone wants an appointment, just talk to Ms. Neiman.
Thank you very much. And we are at our first opportunity for public comment on agenda items only. Kathy, you can read us in.
If there are individuals present who wish to address the board, please fill out a public comment card located at either entrance of the auditorium. Please read the rules on the back of the comment card concerning policy and procedure. We have 2 public comment sections on the agenda. The first one is public comment on board agenda items. The second public comment opportunity is for commenting on non-agenda items related to the business of the school district. Individuals must completely fill out the front of the card and indicate specific business on which they wish to comment. Please submit the completed card in the bin on the table at entryway of the auditorium. Our board assistant will collect the cards. We ask that speakers refrain from making abusive statements against board members, employees, volunteers, or contractors. Speakers are encouraged to present these complaints to the appropriate process established under Board Policy 9450. Individuals will be invited one at a time to the podium to address the board. Before beginning your comment, please state your full name, and at that time, we will start the timer, and each individual will be given 3 minutes to make their comment. A 1-minute notice will be provided by flagging this red card, and you will need to complete your comment time upon being notified that 3 minutes have passed. Board members do not respond to public comment. Concerns will be brought to the attention of the appropriate staff. We value your input and thank you for sharing.
Alrighty, our first person is Lucas Leverett, and, oh, actually, that's not true. Josiah Robertson. Are you still here? And then Mr. Leverett, you'll be next. We have our scholar that's going first.
Thank you.
My name's Josiah Robertson.
My name is Naomi Charlton.
Thank
You have
you.
to speak really close to the mic, please. Hello and good evening. Our names are Naomi Charlton.
And Josiah Robertson.
We are seniors at Union High School, and before we start, we would like to say thank you to the superintendent, fellow board members, and our principal, Mr. Rusi, for giving us the opportunity to express our concerns regarding the rapid busing.
I'm
If you
sorry,
would
I'm going to
please speak
interrupt
up.
you. We can't hear you. Can you speak just a little bit louder, please?
Do you want me to start over?
Please, yes, please.
Hello and good evening. Our names are Naomi Charlton.
And Josiah Robertson.
We are seniors at Union High School, and before we start, we would like to say thank you to the superintendent, fellow board members, and our principal, Mr. Rusi, for giving us the opportunity to express our concerns regarding the rapid busing.
While the buses are convenient, direct, and provide transportation to and from school, there are a few concerns we want to present to you today.
The buses are extremely overcrowded.
Students are squished in and unable to hold on to anything for support, which is very dangerous.
These conditions also create an uncomfortable position for students having to be squished up against each other for a long, bumpy bus ride to and from school.
On routes to school, if the bus is too full, the bus drivers will skip stops, leaving students behind.
When the buses become too full after school, students are left behind after school, having to find another way home.
As a result to this issue, students would do whatever to take to get to the bus first, whether it's leaving class early without their teacher's permission or sprinting out of the building and down a hill where the buses are parked.
Students should not have to risk their safety riding an overcrowded bus or feel the need to sprint down a hill in snowy or icy conditions just to get a spot on the bus.
Additionally, students should not feel the need to miss out on any instructional time in the classroom just to secure a ride home.
If there were enough buses provided for the number of students that takes them home, then none of the issues above would be present.
We would gladly join any conversations to brainstorm ideas to resolve these problems.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Lucas Leverett and Matthew Marlowe on deck.
All right, there was some great artwork up there for that e-card. It's really great stuff. Thank you guys for showing that to us. Good evening, Lucas Leverett, GRPS parent. Thanks to Ottawa Hills for hosting us this evening. Thinking about the purchasing agenda addendum tonight, but first I'd like to thank Board President Williams. I'd like to thank you for extending an olive branch of an apology for illegally skipping my opening comment back in October, which caused my opportunity to apologize for a few of my own parts and some escalated tensions to get missed. Ms. Williams, you shared with me that your agenda software created confusion, and even today I've noticed that it continues to be useless and illegible on a mobile device. Yet another tool from yet another overpaid vendor, getting rich on our tax dollars while failing. As I stated in the email when accepting your apology, I hope that you and others will insist that this vendor fix things or fire them. Speaking of overpaid vendors, there's an example in tonight's purchasing agenda addendum. You're about to hand over more than $300K to Power School makers of assorted lackluster tools parents and teachers already struggle with daily. And this time it's apparently for a time clock solution. That's a lot of money. I'll tell you a quick story. I solved this problem once at a job in the past. I kept the money in-house while developing a career opportunity for my employee and saving my employer at the time about $30K by developing our own solution using open source technology. Also in your purchasing addendum, there's another indicator that it's 2024 and you're still playing catch up on basic school security tech. This is nice to see, but the lateness remains concerning. I believe we should see the new board next year demand an audit about the state of play for all security tech and related programs and initiatives. Thank you for this opportunity tonight. Good evening.
And next we have our secretary's report.
No report.
No, Matthew Marlowe.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Marlowe. Thank you.
Good evening, President Williams, Dr. Roby, distinguished board members. I'm Matt Marlowe, GRA President. I just would like to address the board regarding hiring and resignations. Yes, there is a national teacher shortage. However, the number of vacancies in GRPS is higher than our surrounding districts. Today is December 9th, and the agenda shows from December 3rd, the personnel transactions. And I just noticed that there were 3 hires for professional staff compared to 9 resignations. The supply of professional staff is low nationally while the demand is very high. Competition is a challenging endeavor when it comes to hiring personnel. So I'm just asking, what can the board do to influence and encourage people to apply to GRPS? What can the board do to keep education professionals at GRPS? The need for staff that has direct contact with all of our students needs to increase. Each vacancy results in students that miss out on instruction, that miss out on learning, mental health, and physical health improvements. We have special education services, school psychologists, social workers, as well as mental health services that are key to components to helping students and supporting our families. Just ask the board if we could take a more powerful approach to attract school personnel to apply, to work, and stay at GRPS. Our students need and deserve this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Marlowe. Then we have our committee chair update, Ad Hoc Facilities Committee. I thought she said no.
There's
report.
there's no report tonight.
Okay. And
I'm sorry.
committee chair for Ad Hoc, Ms. Shockey.
All right, good evening, everyone. We had an Ad Hoc Facilities Committee meeting in November and had a presentation on EdSpecs, which has been a topic that we've had at this board table for a while. That presentation was by Whiteman, the AE firm working on our new Aberdeen Elementary School, to be named later. And it was a great overview of what an EdSpec is. So an EdSpec bridges the gap between educational programs and facility design, and it reflects the community's vision for education. Education specs result in improved learning environments, efficient uses of resources, equity across the district, and community engagement. So we engage with Whiteman a bit about the process and would assume that you'll hear more about this in the oncoming months. We even talked about potential board policy should we go down the road of creating a district-wide ed spec to refresh that on a frequent year basis. We also got a presentation from the district on our reimagined dashboard and the inclusion of a bond dashboard so that our community and our staff can update themselves on our construction projects, including budgets, who the architects and general contractors are, community meetings that have happened or are happening, progress meetings during the construction process, and progress photos. Those will be updated either bi-weekly or monthly as we begin that process. And lastly, we discussed a form that the district is going to create for us to begin to receive interest in our unoccupied buildings that will allow us to begin to, or allow the board, the future board, to sort through decision-making around how we will best utilize our unoccupied buildings. And that's my report.
All righty. I believe you have the next report as well for finance.
I sure do, yep. So we met just a few weeks ago for finance. We had just 3 agenda items: our purchasing agenda, a donation report, and our financial reports. Happy to take questions on the purchasing agendas during that point of the board meeting. I'll just note from the donation side, just a huge thank you to XQ, who continues to support Museum High and our district. They've granted us, I think, over $300,000 for professional learning for our educators this summer, so just a huge thanks to XQ. That's my report.
Thank you. Next, we have a report from the Grand Rapids Public School Foundation. Dr. Roby?
So I'd like to invite up Miss Stephanie Andrews.
Good evening, Superintendent Ms. Williams, the board. I haven't been on the stage since I was in high school, so this is fun. I just want to share some celebrations of collaboration with Turkey Trot. We had 64 runners register for our race over Thanksgiving, and thank you to all of you who showed up and trotted before you enjoyed your Thanksgiving dinner. We raised $102,000 in sponsorships, and we raised $182,000 in runner registrations, and that all goes to GRPS Sports. So we're really thankful to our community for showing up. Largest 5K in West Michigan, and it was really beautiful if you were able to see it. I want to share that we approved $25,800 in Teresa Weatherall Neal Principal funds, as well as teacher mini grants, and that gave 37 grants out to the district to teachers and principals. Additionally, the board has approved $425,000 in funding for sports, arts, music, and mini grants this year. And our goal is to work to raise that money this year, and hopefully we'll be able to raise a little bit extra to be able to meet the needs. And just wanted to invite you to Mindshare, which is coming up on May 30th at GRPS University. And we're going to have a field day theme for that event, and we'll be working on sponsorships for the beginning of January through that date. And lastly, we are welcoming 3 new board members to the foundation board. Dr. Lisa Lowry, who I believe is in the building tonight, kicking off the Ottawa Hills mentor program, alumni mentor program. Jermail Eddy, who has children in the district, and Lisa Lowry is actually an alum of Ottawa Hills as well. And Raynard Ross will be joining us as our board member starting in January as well. So that is my report tonight.
Thank you so much. Job well done.
Job well done, yes. If you were at the Turkey Trot 2 weeks ago, as I was, it was cold. But once you start moving, it's like, okay, you can kind of get used to it. So also a shout out to Stephanie and your team, as well as our athletic department and our security team who were there. I don't think people realize at like 2 o'clock in the morning, while the rest of us were still sleeping a little bit. And so just kudos and thank you for the level of commitment that you have given to GRPS and the residual of how it impacts our young people and our community overall. Just from a spirit of gratitude, we are thankful to have that partnership with you.
Thank you.
It's really important for you to hear how impactful this work is, not just only for our students, but for the district as a whole, and also how many surrounding schools and students that are not represented out of GRPS that intentionally participate in this race to help us. And so when you think about a regional approach to some gaps in what we have in the district, this community shows up and shows up well continuously. And so just thank you for your team, the work that you all have done continuously that allows this to shine and be a beloved event in the community. So thank you.
If you can send us information on how to be connected to the alumni mentor group. I'm not an Ottawa alumni, but I know many that might be interested.
It's alumni and community, so all are welcome.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, everyone can be part
That's
of it.
amazing. I really am excited about that.
Can I say one more thing? I saw Fabiola on the course, and I want to thank her for coming out with a group, and she was handing out water, as well as a shout out to the Seaford PR team, because they give tremendously to make this happen as well. And my final thanks to our board members who've been serving this year. It's been lovely to work with you as you are taking off and doing other things, and I know we're welcoming new board members, but thank you. It's been a pleasure working with many of you.
Ms. Andrews, before you go, I just want to say, on that note, just a few personal thanks. So this evening, I left the City versus MLK 8th grade middle school basketball game where City was leading 16-10. And I just want to say a personal thanks for the impact you've had on my children in this district as they've had access to sports that they may not have had without the leadership of the foundation. We also ran the turkey trot as a family for the first time, which was such a delight for us, a new tradition as my youngest is able to well outpace his mother on the course. And my fiance, who's never run before, ran under an 8-minute mile, which is just unfair as I walked a steady 15-minute pace. Thank you for that. As a fellow nonprofit leader, I also just want to say thank you to you. It means so much when the work is personal, and as an alumni in this district, I know how deeply personal this work is to you. I have so valued the conversations we've had about how much more could the foundation do to impact GRPS. Thank you for your heart in the work of taking care of us.
Thank you again. Next, we have our superintendent's report. Dr. Roby.
I'm going to invite up Stephanie Seismas from McKelvey Merchant, as well as John Helmholt from Seaford. They're going to talk a little bit about our legislative priorities for 2025, and to just get the board's reconfirmation this is the right direction as we move into the 2025 year.
Dr. Roby, Ms. Williams, and the rest of the board, thank you so much for having us. I know it's been a while since we've been in front of you for a full legislative committee update. We've been working very closely with our legislative committee members, which I'm glad to see so many of you tonight, and new faces as well. So for those that, it's been about a year, I think, since I've been in front of some of you. So my name is Stephanie Simas. I'm a lobbyist with McKelvey Merchant Associates, and it has been a joy to work with GRPS and advocate on your behalf and all of our kiddos in Lansing for over a year now since I joined the firm. Recently, I've been very grateful and thankful to have John Helmholt join in our legislative efforts. John is, as you know, a good friend of GRPS and has been on the ground for some time. So when I'm in Lansing, it's great to have eyes and ears in GR, and vice versa. We can chat while I'm in Lansing. So with that,
we fight like brothers and sisters too.
He's the best big brother I've never had. So. With that, John, you want to say a few words before we kick it off?
Yeah, no, we just want to, we're going to go through and provide a legislative update. We're in lame duck session. As I think many of you know, the election outcome was such where the Democratic Party lost the majority in the state house. And so we are anticipating, we weren't sure if this was going to be a lame duck or if it's going to get a little little zesty with some sauce, and it's starting to get a little zesty with some sauce.
So far, it's been pretty lame.
It's been pretty lame, but as Stephanie's going to go through, we're starting to see some movement. We have some concerns, but we also have some opportunities in here. And then later on your agenda, you have your legislative platform. This is, I'm going to comment on it now. This is largely related to your past platforms, ones that we've worked to consistently maintain that core message, that core approach that you as a board have directed us to take. It looks largely the same, and we'll walk through it, but know that that's an action item later on in the agenda.
So to kick things off, just a little bit of run a show here. As John had mentioned, it's lame duck season in Lansing. Just to briefly explain what that means, right? So he had touched on that the House had flipped. We had a dumb trifecta of the governorship, the Senate, and in the House. The House flipped. So when we see that, we see the party that lost majority want to try to push through as many action items as they can before they return in the minority. And that is through the end of the year until that new calendar cycle starts in the new year and that new majority comes in. Due to
A little closer, Stephanie.
Due to some attendance issues, they haven't been able to run a lot of Democratic priorities that we've anticipated them to be running, and that includes the last couple of weeks. However, we have been told that they are going to be at full attendance this week, and we expect a lot of those Dem priorities to really start moving. In our legislative committee, I'm going to call on you in a little bit too for some updates on where you think, just feedback on some of the bills that we've met on, and those are starting to move. So with that, we're going to, I think, switch a little bit and just go through our legislative agenda, and John's going to take the lead on that. So later on in the meeting, you can take a vote on that, and we can continue forward using this.
So in your packet, you should have a copy of the one-page legislative agenda. And I'm sorry we don't have it up to display. But your key priorities here is to really focus on student outcomes, teacher pipeline development. I heard Matt talking earlier today during the public comment. This has been a priority for this board as long as I've been around, and looking at that teacher pipeline development to retain, recruit, and professionally develop teachers. Looking at an equity-based funding formula, which we've had some remarkable success over the years. We're going to continue to push for that. We have a few supplemental related funding items that we are hoping to be able to push through yet this lame duck. And then of course we're looking at reasonable policy reform. What really needs to be done, we continue to push for increasing the foundation allowance, fully funding the learners based on the true cost of meeting their academic, social, emotional, behavioral needs. Adding 35% in funding for at-risk youth. You might remember the Michigan School Finance Research Collaborative did an extensive study, bipartisan, bicameral, that came back and really recognized that we as a state are really failing to fully fund and meet the needs of our highest needs students, our highest poverty, high minority, highest need English language learners. And we've seen progress, but we're going to continue to push for that progress. We need to sustain the mental health services and school safety and security. Again, we're continuing to see some of that already. And then we're going to support the full funding as the study had showed. So later on in the agenda, you're going to be asked to vote on this. What this does is gives Stephanie and I a really clear guidance of where we can go to bat on the key issues. You have state associations that are largely, they're monitoring issues. We're going to monitor those issues and really look at the ones that need to be prioritized by this board, which is 3 to 5 maybe core key legislative and appropriation issues, which is what we've been very successful on in years past.
And I'll just add with that, even having this priority platform, we still are in constant communication with several board members and our legislative committee members as things do come up, and you check in between with members and where you think you all are at, or feedback on certain policies, and we take those to the chairs. So please don't think this is our one and only, touch point is what we'll be engaging on, but it just provides a nice umbrella for all of us to proceed with our day-to-day work in Lansing.
Are there any questions about the legislative platform?
John, I'm wondering about, is this something that we can really support, having kids have to take or fill out the FAFSA before they can graduate?
Tell you what, Kathy, let's do this, because we're going to get into the presentation in just a second, so hold that question if you don't mind.
You'll see, Kathy, just a separate sheet in front of you. It's orange and blue. It's a single sheet. There's a single sheet in front of you. It's orange and blue. That's the legislative agenda priorities. And then we'll go through those individual bills here.
I can't hear you.
That's right. Kathy.
Okay. Okay.
So Kathy, this is just like the legislative platform we've done in years past. This is our first chance to be able to bring it to you for your blessing. It's been before legislative committee. We've been kind of shifting some committees' focus, so we're bringing it to the full board for your blessing tonight. And again, it's largely aligned with every legislative platform that you've approved, certainly since I was here.
Mr. Eatman.
Yeah, so I do have a question regarding the additional 35% funding for at-risk students. Knowing that the psychological and emotional needs of our students have been an increasing request and concern, is a 35% ask the base of where you think it will pass? Because I see the demand for this to be a little bit higher, so I'm just kind of wondering, how did we land on the 35%?
Yeah, that 35% was actually outlined in the Michigan School Finance Research Collaborative as the recommendation for what percent increase in 31A was needed in order to meet the at-risk needs of youth, or meet the needs of at-risk youth, excuse me.
And I think, Mr. Eatman, too, just a note, politically, the reality is we're going into a split chamber, and what that will really look like when it comes to the full percentage of an increase. So much above of what has already been recommended, I think would be politically difficult this next year.
That's what I was wondering. Thank you.
Any other questions on the legislative priority sheet before we move into the individual legislation moving?
I have one additional question for a follow-up, because I remember in the last legislation meeting that we had, we talked about going back to having a conversation with the state for that. I don't remember the technical terminology for this. I'm gonna piece it together. I think you'll know what I'm referring to. With the new teachers having that support that they have to have, that would cost the district, but there weren't any funding going into a bucket to support that regarding the first 3 years.
I'm sorry, Mr. Eatman. We're having a little trouble hearing you with clarity. So if we could all try to over-enunciate, that might be a bit helpful for us tonight.
Yes, this is much not the, it's difficult to hear in general, so thank you for calling that out. In one of our last meetings, we had a conversation in regards to the newly state mandate with supporting new teachers for that first 3 years for, I forgot what it was technically called, that we have to pour money into the first 3 years of new teachers. And we talked about the aspect of it was a mandate, but no funding support to support the districts in that request. Has there been any movement from the state to provide any funding towards that?
I just want to clarify, was it a meeting that we discussed for teachers or certified librarians in individual districts?
I think what you're referring to is the certified librarian program.
Yeah.
Yep.
We're actually going to touch on that in the legislative packet, so I got you.
Got it. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Good question, though.
Any other questions on the legislative agenda? Okay. We will dive in here to lame duck issues that are moving. Some of them have already moved this last week. There hasn't been a lot of movement just because of the attendance issues that I had mentioned. One of the bills that we have talked about a little bit in the legislative committee already is HB 4928 through 4930. So this, our mics are giving us a hard time tonight, Ms. Lewis. I'm trying.
HB 4928, 4930.
So this is surrounding motorists running at school bus red lights, and it is creating a camera system for school buses to use, and it will produce a fine once the individuals that are caught in a motor vehicle who fail to stop for an unlawfully passed unlawfully passed or did not stop for a school bus. And these fines are able to come back into the transportation department within the individual school district. So these actually received a large amount of bipartisan support in the House and in the Senate, one of the few bipartisan support bills we've seen recently, and it's on its way to the governor's desk this coming week to be signed into law. So we should be seeing these changes next year. And then the rest of these bills are bills that have not yet been signed into law. They're either moving or on their way. So we'll break those down a little bit here. So one of the bills that is actually up in the House Education Committee tomorrow morning, it is coming from the Senate, it's already moved through the Senate successfully, is a bill by Senator Paul Henke, and it deals with attendance requirements for kindergarten. It would modify the school academies PSAs to provide kindergarten and to require children in the state to enroll in kindergarten at the age of 5, and this would begin in 2025 through 2026. However, there is an exception. A 5-year-old's parents or guardian could delay kindergarten enrollment for that child for up to 1 school year. This bill would take effect after 90 days of its enactment, of the governor signing it, so it could have a pretty quick and direct effect next year if this is signed into law. It would also require each school district or PSA that offered first grade to provide kindergarten, and the code does not require a child under the age of 9 to attend public school. So currently the code does not require a child under the age of 9 to attend public school if that child does not reside within 2.5 miles of the nearest traveled road of the public school. This bill would not apply, and it would delete those provisions. And that is, as I said, up in the House Education Committee tomorrow. It's fully expected to go to the floor, and we should see that pass both chambers and be on its way to the governor's desk. The next one is one that the Senate has spent some time on. It has moved through the Senate and committee. It's on the way to the House committee, where our legislative committee, I want to thank them because members and Dr. Roby have taken time to meet with the bill sponsor, as well as Representative Glanville from West Michigan and a large part of our GRPS community, has taken Senator Camilleri's bill, Senate 463, revolving FAFSA completion, and she's working on several substitutes that will create waivers and exceptions for students to really ensure that we're not holding students back for not completing the FAFSA, while still kind of putting forward a new state motto and expectation that it should be completed, because Michigan was one of the highest states that we left Pell Grant money on the table because students did not complete the FAFSA in a high percentage. So the intent by the bill sponsor was very good, but there were some opportunities to improve upon waivers to make sure that we're accommodating all of our families and all of our kids and making sure that they can still graduate high school. And with that, a couple of waivers right now, which several of our legislative committee members brought forward to the bill sponsor as concerns, so thank you, was if a parent can submit a waiver for just not wanting to or being able to, a student, if they're 18 years of age. There's also alternative waivers, a big concern that our committee members brought forward if parents felt like they did not want to complete it due to privacy concerns. That's an acceptable waiver now. As well as if there just has proven to be good faith effort from the student and the school to reach out to parents and it's still not yet completed, there can be an acceptable waiver for the student to still continue on to graduation. With that being said, Representative Glanville has promised me that there are going to be lots of changes brought tomorrow in front of the committee with a sub, so when that happens, I will make sure that gets emailed out to all of you, because I do know that this is a concern of many of our legislative committee members and board members. But from where this bill started to where it stands now, I feel a lot better about it, and making sure that our kids are not being held back if they don't complete it, but just changing the narrative of making sure that it's an expectation.
This reminded me a little bit of the third grade reading law. If you might recall, when that legislation was first introduced, it said if you don't pass third grade reading, you're automatically held back. And it hit like a lead balloon. And then we engaged with with this board and members of this board, and we're able to get lots of different waivers and exceptions. This is very similar to what's happening here, and I applaud this board. Your fingerprints are on making this legislation better. I think we all want to encourage the completion of FAFSA. We want to get those numbers as high as we can get so we can get our fair share of federal dollars that we're entitled to as long as we have those forms being completed. So this is going to increase overall awareness, engagement in helping to advance the FAFSA, but it's not going to unduly penalize any family or student who choose not to participate.
Any questions on that before we move forward? All right, seeing none. Another bill that is a lame duck bill, it was recently introduced and it's moving very quickly. It already passed Labor Committee last week and it's on the way to the floor this week and anticipated to get over to the Senate the following. And it is House Bill 6058 by Rep. Zong. And it is a bill that will amend the Publicly Funded Health Insurance Contribution Act to increase the amount that public employees may pay towards employees' medical benefit plans. There are rising concerns around that because, as many of you probably will remember, PA 152 came in as a pretty good rescue for public education a few years ago, longer than that. But we're able to, reset dollars to make sure we could make ends meet. And I'll just go right into the concerns of this bill that are already being expressed. As many of you know, GRPS is a part of a larger umbrella called Education Advocates of West Michigan, which is made up of all of the superintendents of Muskegon and Ottawa and Kent County, and a lot of those voices are being brought forward by their lobbyists in partnership in unison with McKelvey and Merchant. And so some of those concerns are that the current law, PA 152 in 2012, caps the amount of money a public employer can provide to cover the cost of employee health insurance. These caps adjust annually with medical inflation. These caps also provide incentives for both employees and employers to find a broad menu of health insurance plans that are cost competitive and meet the diverse needs of employees. The bill being proposed that would amend this would increase the employer amounts by 7% and change them from caps to employer minimum contributions. After the employee wages, employee benefits are the next largest expenditure for school districts. A 7% increase in these expenditures would require cost reductions in other programs and services provided by schools. With these cuts most likely impacting students and staff members, a 7% increase in health insurance costs roughly equates to $85 to $95 per student for typical Michigan school districts. Absent ongoing new revenues to cover these cost increases, schools will be forced to make painful cuts in order to balance annual budgets, and we're predicting it could cost the state up to $150 to $200 million statewide. And we did just a rough calculation that it boiled down to $1.3 million for our district here. So that is one that we're watching very closely and pushing back on. It does have legs, so I would encourage all of you to reach out to our local delegation and express your concerns, especially the districts that you individually reside in, and ask them to take some of those concerns into consideration.
Stephanie, can you speak to, with lame duck, and I know that this is a question that may be more predictive, are there some that have greater legs of being passed versus some that it's just a wish?
Yeah, most of the bills, as in all of the bills that I've included today, are ones that I think have good legs and are moving. One at the very end that I'll mention doesn't, but I think it will in the next 2 weeks. But I went through and filtered the ones that we think will move.
Thank you.
I have one more question, if I may.
Yes.
Are these the same kind of legislative priorities that we were asked as Michigan Association of School Board members to decide which ones were the most important to us, or is this not connected to something like that?
No, I think different, Ms. Lewis. These are just bills that are being introduced.
No, it's not. Is that what you're saying?
No, I think these are different individual members bringing their concerns forward and bills that would affect GRPS. You want to take this one?
Yeah, the House Bill 5741 is essentially would mandate the creation of a first aid response kit for all schools. It's based on the Stop the Bleed, which was developed by two American College for Surgeons Committee on Trauma. And this first aid kit would contain at least all of the following: a tourniquet, bleeding control dressings, compression bandages, protective gloves, a marker, and instructions on the use of the kit. The bill would add the instruction now required in CPR for pupils enrolled in grades 7 to 12. And for students who are able to physically participate, the psychomotor skills necessary to perform CPR through the provision of hands-on training. So it essentially, the main concern with this is it is currently would be an unfunded mandate. So certainly as we approach it, the hope would that the appropriation would be tied to this.
We're getting there, I promise. We have just a couple left. It's a busy lame duck season with lots of bills moving. So one that we had talked about in our legislative committee very early on, about a year ago, was a school safety package that was in the works. It was a bipartisan package. It stuck through being a bipartisan package with 2 Dems and 2 Republican House members. It did shrink in size. 3 and 2. It was a much larger package. It filtered down into what they really thought they could get across the finish line. You will see in front of you, we have printed off the legislative analysis as well as the House fiscal analysis for these bills that really break them down individually. I didn't want to take a lot of time because they are very detailed, but you can review these because I do think, we'll go through the quick lines here, but I do think they are on their way through successfully passing the House and the Senate, and these are a reality that will be coming our way. With that being said, the first bill, House Bill 4095, it directs school boards to implement the standard terminology plan from 4096. And 4096 requires the Michigan State Police to establish a standard terminology plan for school safety. The following bill by Rep. Breen requires schools to have a behavior threat assessment and management team. The following bill by Rep. Meerman establishes the School Safety and Mental Health Commission in statute, and it provides an appointment structure and establishes duties. And the final bill by Rep. DeBoer updates references to reflect the School Safety and Mental Health Commission. So I know those are all vague and they don't go into detail, so please review that packet. Happy to connect with any of you individually about questions, but it is quite detailed of the breakdown, so I did not want to take a large amount of time there. So this is the one, Mr. Eatman, that you were asking about, that we also had a meeting with the bill sponsor. And again, just to echo John, I want to thank the legislative committee and Dr. Roby for stepping up and really taking time to have meetings with these bill sponsors, because as you can see, the proof is in the pudding. Through some of those meetings and conversations, changes have been made and they continue to be made, so thank you. With this, it is also a Senator Camilleri bill, who is the Senate Education Chair for the Appropriations Committee, along with a bill included by Senator Bayer, and it essentially requires a certified school librarian in most public school libraries. And as we had shared with the bill sponsor, that this we appreciate and want to support our libraries in our fullest capacities and our certified librarians. However, just as there is a teacher shortage, there is a certified librarian shortage, and we also know that that comes with a large sticker price, and right now it is an unfunded mandate as well. So our ask was to either ensure that it is a funded initiative ongoing and not just one time, so when the legislature changes, that it may not be funded the following cycle, but it's still put into law, and then we're stuck with the bill. So that was heard, I think, well, and also in addition to, we don't have a good pipeline. We only have 2 schools in the state of Michigan that even offer the ability for certified librarians, and we had expressed concern and desire to maybe work on improving that pipeline before we implement this requirement. This bill is one that has not yet moved. It's still sitting in the Senate Education Committee, but as we say in lame duck, anything has the chance of moving. So we're keeping our eyes on it because it is a concern, but the fact that it hasn't moved yet does make me feel a little bit better that they're still looking at it and taking changes into consideration, but it's one that I wanted to bring forward as we have met with the bill sponsor and our committee.
Thank you.
Mr. Eatman, did that answer?
Thank you.
Finally, we're ending with the biggest one on the agenda. So, as John had mentioned, there is a supplemental, a possibility of that. It is often the last thing that will run in Lansing, as many members will use the supplemental to negotiate on their other bills that may or may not move, to support and vote in favor of the supplemental budget. So this is something that we would see right before Christmas, and they go on holiday recess and return in a new majority in the House. With that being said, we really we're not planning on going after much in the supplemental because it is often smaller, and at the end of the year it's often just kind of making sure that the budgets are dotting their T's and their I's and closing their books well. However, it was brought to our attention, many of you will remember the Michigan Meals program that was recently passed with the DEM trifecta to provide free meals for our students. And I know the board has been up to date from Dr. Roby as well as Rhonda with our partnerships with surrounding school districts, and due to those partnerships and how the bill was written, it affected our 30D and 31D funding, and that resulted in a deficit that we are fighting for in the supplemental to back pay to make GRPS and all of our partners whole. So John and I are giving it everything we have, as well as our local legislators, to make that a reality. But I also urge you as board members on this issue to contact our local DEM delegation and our senator to make sure that they know that it's a priority for us and to hear from you.
I would just add on this. There's a time when the state was really encouraging school districts to collaborate, to look at how to do shared services. And GRPS is a model example of how we've leveraged our size in food service and partnering with smaller school districts like East Grand Rapids, like West Michigan Aviation Academy, a number of others, to help provide their meals in exchange for the services that we provide should, in theory, provide some level of savings for the district. Unfortunately, because of the language of the law for providing free lunch for all, it is penalizing districts that are providing schools meals for other school districts, and that this is the law of unintended consequences. We feel cautiously optimistic that we can get a fix, if not even an executive ruling on this. But at minimum, if not an executive ruling, some type of a legislative fix. But that doesn't solve the $1.2 million hole that we've got to solve for now. And so the hope is that we are able to convince our delegation to advance this supplemental here before the end of the school year. It is Christmas time. We're making a wish, and we just want to emphasize your local delegation is really going to bat on this.
With that, are there any remaining questions? Seeing none, thank you all so much. And for our board members that are outgoing, thank you. It's been a joy to work with you, and especially the legislative committee. I so appreciate your engagement and your time, and we're excited to continue to work for you in GRPS. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Dr. Roby?
Our final report is from Dean Transportation. As you know, that we've done quarterly reports with our partners with Dean Transportation, and so I'll invite Patrick and Christopher Dean to come up and to share what is taking place over this final quarter of 2024, and for them to highlight what are some things that are on deck for 2025.
Good evening, President Williams and members of the board. Thank you for the opportunity to be back in front of you. This is a great presentation we're excited to share tonight. It's been 1 year since we did our first presentation, and we truly are excited to be here and share some of the updates we've had over the last year. First, I just want to thank the board for its vision and its leadership as we've worked through the last year, as we've addressed some of the things that we've talked about in front of you over the course of several quarters now. Very pleased with the progress we've made, including our Student Transportation Advisory Committee, which a lot of the work is taking place and discussions are taking place in, and we're going to talk about throughout our presentation. So joining me is Kevin Harkness, Kevin is our Regional Operations Manager, works closely day in and day out with our leadership team, Bruce Grant and Rolanda Robinson, Rolanda's in the audience, along with Brian Thrasher. And then to my left, your right, Christopher Dean, my brother, our Director of Innovation, who's going to talk a little bit about the things we have happening in electric vehicles and exciting news about what that looks like for GRPS going forward. Before we get going, I wanted to thank Dr. Roby for attending our transportation holiday gathering. On Friday, we had over 150 transportation professionals in the garage at GRPS Union Avenue. We cleaned up the garage and had a nice Olive Garden meal, and we had some small entertainment. We had our lighted bus that was in the parade on a Saturday on display, and it was a wonderful time, and we appreciate the superintendent's comments to our transportation team and all the board's support of our transportation staff day in and day out. Nothing easy about the last couple weeks as snow has come a lot sooner than we anticipated, and our team is navigating that and ready for the winter season even this week. So as we go through our presentation, I'm going to turn it to Kevin for a few operational updates and engagement updates we have going on in transportation.
Thanks, Patrick. So first of all, we hit these operation updates. Most of these, if not all of them, have been discussed in the Transportation Advisory Committee. And where I want to start is with our field trip electronic system trip tracker. It has now been implemented across the school district, not just for athletics. We did a quick test with the middle school athletics and it went very well. So it has now been implemented across the board for athletics and academic trips, and that seems to be going well as of right now. There's no glitches or anything like that, so it's moving along very well. If you notice the sign, city shuttle sign up there, that is something that we did proactively for many of our buses, and they'll say athletic shuttle, city shuttle, zoo school, you know, wherever that particular bus is going, and we did that for the hub students. We got a lot of concerns at the beginning of the school year that hub students weren't, what bus do I get on? This bus changed, whatever. So that's a sign that we can easily display in the front window of the bus, so when the scholars come to the bus, say, oh, hey, this is the city shuttle, this is the one I get on. So they know what they're doing. So that is something we've proactively done. The next one I'm really excited about, and we've actually given them out, and I'll get there in just a second. The Z-Pass cards, we have got an online sign-up form now. Thanks to Luke Steyer and his team, they were able to get it started, and that is working well. But one thing we did is we've always measured, but we started giving out 5 gift cards every month, and we did it this month, McDonald's gift cards to the 5 scholars that use their pass the most. So I can tell you right now, we had and these might not be in the exact order, we had a Southwest Community Campus, we had 2 CA Frost, and we had a couple from Union High School special ed students that we transferred who won the gift cards this year, or this month, and we'll continue to do that each month moving forward. As we've always done, we've been reporting our metrics on the 15th, and I'll get to that on the next page. And then we have a dedicated staff member, Lisa Pearson, who many of you know is one of our transportation supervisors. She is dedicated to working with Lucas and his team with the Reimagine project as far as rerouting, number of buses, different things that transportation would be involved in. So that's been going really well. And then we continue to have the online feedback form, which goes very well. We started the first couple weeks of school, with quite a few requests, and now we're down to maybe 1 or 2 a week. So it's going very well, and that form is working wonderfully. Moving forward to the on-time performance, I'm not going to spend a lot of time here because you guys have all seen this, but other than to tell you this, November was our best month ever since we've started recording this. Up to 93% on time. And again, you guys can look at the breakdown of this, there's quadrant breakdown and so forth on the dashboard on the website. But I just wanted to point out that, again, things continue to improve each and every month. And again, November was the best month so far. Hopefully we can continue that. And kind of the last thing that I need to and would like to talk about tonight is some engagement opportunities that are out there for community members. Transportation Advisory Committee, as we've talked about, quite a bit. We have quite a few members of that, but we're always looking for new folks. If you're interested, the QR code is there. You can scan in. We've met a couple of times. We're meeting here in a couple of days again on December 13th to have our next meeting to go over some agenda items. The transportation forums. We had our first one this year. It was October 29th at Southwest Middle High. And I don't know if this is good or bad. We had one attendee. So that could be good, showing that, there's not much out there to, really deal with because things are going well. That's how I'm looking at it. And then the online feedback forums that we just talked about, and that is going well. And then obviously our technology that we continue to use. The Here Comes the Bus and Z-Pass, the usership is up. We continue to use them, and we've made it easier to access. There's FAQs and all kinds of those things on the website for folks to use as needed. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Chris for an electric bus update.
Absolutely. Thank you, Kevin. You'll recall at our last quarterly update, I provided a quick update regarding electric school buses. So I'm here to speak about some exciting updates as it relates to that specific project. Just to remind you very briefly, so in partnership with the district, we were able to seek grant funding to support up to 15 electric school buses. Our hope and our goal is that those 15 school buses could be split evenly between the regular education operation and the special ed operation. There's two primary sources. One is the EPA program, which was over $5.1 million. The secondary source is a state of Michigan grant program that is used on top of that EPA program. So when you combine those two, there's just about $6.6 million of funding. Right now, as we sit here today, we estimate the total project cost to be just about $7 million. If you recall, you may realize that that is less than we previously discussed at our last quarterly update. And one of the reasons for that is a strong commitment from Consumers Energy. They've absolutely been very involved in the planning process, and this project has qualified for a Consumers Power My Fleet program project. What that means is the utility Consumers has committed funding to upgrade the infrastructure, what's called before the meter. So anything coming into the property, if you have the slides up, you'll see in the little overhead view, we've identified on the lot the best place for the buses to be parked and charging stations to be installed. But Consumers has dedicated funding and provided that to bring the additional power into the lot, set the pole, and bore underground to what you could generally call the charging station island. And so we're very pleased. We worked hard with the GRPS facilities team, our operational staff, electricians, and others to really identify on the lot where it would be most suitable to start with these 15 electric school buses. So we've really spent a great deal of time on the infrastructure assessment, design, and the placement of the chargers. So the next steps on this, very shortly we should get the final quotes from the electric school bus manufacturer, which obviously is a big part of the project. When that comes together, we should be able to get very close to a total final project cost. So our goal continues to be that we deploy these electric school buses in calendar year 2025. that will be next school year, so school year 25-26. So a lot's going to continue to happen here as we plan and work on the infrastructure and on-the-lot improvements. So with those exciting updates as it relates to electric school buses, I'd turn it back to Patrick for some additional innovations as it relates to a couple of technology proposals.
Thank you, Chris. And I also want to mention, as Kevin discussed, we'll be looking to hold another transportation forum in March of 2025 for an opportunity for more families and scholars to visit with transportation as another venue for communication. As we finish our last slide of the presentation, we're very excited to share with the board that we have proposed and work with the administration on deploying the start of camera systems on board school buses. So we have developed a proposal which includes state-of-the-art camera systems that are both cellular-based and also Wi-Fi based camera systems, meaning that any one of us at our desks with access could view, as administrators or school building administrators, could view the cameras remotely at any time, but also allows for efficiency in how you pull data from the cameras, how it's stored, how you can remotely view it. The old technology has typically been you go to the bus and you pull a hard drive or you pull an SD card from a camera system. This allows us to manage it at a global level for the fleet of the size of fleet of GRPS's size. So we're very excited about this camera pilot program. We have upcoming meetings with GRPS Safety Department along with other administrators on protocols, processes, and things that need to happen to implement the initial batch of cameras and future deployment of camera systems. So we'll be beginning this project shortly after the first of the year. I'm very excited about it. The second piece of our technology innovation is something that came out of our Transportation Advisory Committee. As transportation technology has evolved, the use of tablet systems is becoming more prominent. There's a number of regulations on how they work, how the screen turns on and off, how it meets Michigan State Police inspection standards, a number of those pieces. So we are going to be starting to implement several tablet systems that work together with our route planning system to give drivers turn-by-turn directions on their route, along with enhanced student identification. So working with our card systems to have student pictures and IDs to assist our drivers on the road. Right now, drivers may be referring to a piece of paper for their route sheet, which can be challenging, and so utilizing this technology to further enhance efficiency, communication, and performance within transportation. So pretty exciting leap forward for the Transportation Department, and these are initiatives that will be ongoing the remainder of this school year with further development in the future. So very excited about these pieces. And again, as I mentioned in my introductory remarks, we appreciate the board, we appreciate the administration, Dr. Roby, for taking time to spend with our transportation staff this week. We are also honored to present the district with a contribution from our transportation team to support scholars and families within GRPS, and appreciate the partnership this holiday season with the entire GRPS team. So thank you, and we'd be happy to answer any questions the board has.
All right, I'll go to this side first. Any questions, colleagues?
I do have a question. All right, I got to be loud too. Thank you for your presentation. This is just related to the last conversation we just had about just kind of what's going on with the state legislature. So House Bill 4928 and 4930 talks about buses being equipped with cameras in case a car runs past, they have their stop sign on. Do all our buses have cameras equipped already, or are we in the process of doing that? And, in light of this bill maybe passing soon?
Great question. So we've been active with that bill, been active discussing it with the Michigan Association of Pupil Transportation, who's also weighed in on the bill. It sat in the legislature for quite a long time, so the future of it was not certain until we got to this lame duck session. Right. So now that it is looking like the governor's going to sign it, we're looking at options because not only it increases safety, first and foremost, there's opportunities to add external cameras to the buses for these illegal passing events at a cheaper investment from an infrastructure standpoint with some programs out there. So we are absolutely looking into it. What that looks like right now, we don't necessarily know. There's lots of vendors that are now coming to market with the passing of legislation, but it will allow our law enforcement and our prosecutors to help support the effort to stop illegal passing. It's the number one issue our drivers see. So great question. Absolutely, we are looking into how we can do that to benefit safety first and foremost.
I look forward to another update with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Look forward to it.
I have one question. In response to the young people who were up here tonight talking about the buses being overcrowded.
Not them.
Different company.
Different company. That's the city buses.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I won't blame you then.
No, we appreciate that. And I will say, just as a supplement to the Transportation Advisory Committee, a topic of the committee has been high school transportation, that committee has discussed and stays on our agenda. And so our committee's discussing it, but obviously that's a rapid piece, not a deep piece. So, but it is in the Transportation Advisory Committee.
Thank you.
Any questions on this side, colleagues? Okay. I actually have a question with regards to the pilots that you're doing. What are your expected outcomes to determine whether or not that pilot will be something that is permanently implemented with regards to the cameras and the tablets?
Yeah, great question. I think they're two separate, independent systems. On the camera systems, our goal is to develop the process and procedures by deploying the first initial batch with the district on how we share video, how we share it with building administrators if there's an incident, or our student piece. Because there's a lot of things when it comes to IDA and FERPA and security, and so those are procedures what we need to develop as we build out a fuller system for transportation as we look to 25, 26 and what that looks like for the whole fleet. So we want to work on that right now so we can be ready to go for larger scale with the direction of the district. On the tablet side, there are multiple different options in tablets. The biggest piece for us is making sure it talks correctly to our student tracking, our bus tracking, and our route planning system. And so there's a couple different options there, so we want to make sure we have stability. We want to make sure the user experience, the parent experience, we understand, there's lots of different apps parents interact, so how do we streamline that? So there's lots of goals when it comes to that. So we want to first make sure the driver's reliability is good, connectivity is good, and then the personal parent and student experience is positive. So we're going to see how that goes, and then we'll expand it further. Chris, anything else?
Well done.
Thank you. Thank you. All righty.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
That concludes my reports for the evening.
Next, we have our action items for the evening. Colleagues, first up is our superintendent's evaluation. Are there any questions? All righty. Ms. Davis, do you have anything on this?
It says Vice President Ken Williams. I do have the superintendent evaluation with me. We held the superintendent evaluation last week, and we utilized the school advance rubric. Dr. Roby was able to present us with evidence for 11 different characteristics, and we took out of 33 characteristics, thank you. And this is a process that we've been participating in throughout the year. We have updates multiple times during the course of the year. But this was the final evaluation, and I'm happy to report that the board found Superintendent Dr. Roby to be effective with a score of 2.72 out of 3. So on behalf of GRPS Board of Education, I'm proud to share that her evidence proved to show she has earned this through a consensus rating score, and that's about it. Congratulations on that.
So, colleagues, we do need to vote on this. So, all in favor? Oh, is there a motion to accept the superintendent's evaluation rating?
Motion to accept.
Support.
All righty. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, same sign? All righty. Next, we have our affirmative legislative platform. As that was laid out to us, and we do have copies there on our desk as well. Are there any questions with regards to the legislative platform? Seeing none, is there a motion to affirm the legislative platform?
So moved.
Support.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign? And next, we have our purchasing agenda. Is there any comments with regards or questions regarding the purchasing agenda? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve the purchasing agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign? Lastly, we have our purchasing agenda addendum. Are there any questions with regards to the addendum? Ms. Milton, is that? No? Okay. Is there a motion to approve the purchasing agenda addendum?
So moved.
Support.
All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign? Alrighty, next we need the approval for our consent agenda grouping. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda grouping?
So moved.
Support.
That was Ms. Wade. She said support.
Ms. Wade?
Yeah.
Okay. And then all in favor of the consent agenda grouping, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign? All right. And then we are moving to board president announcements. I do not have any announcements this evening. Then we are next at our public comment for non-agenda items.
Is still video. If there are any individuals present who wish to address the board, please fill out the public comment card located at either entrance of the auditorium.
Already did that.
Okay. If there's anybody else that needs to turn in a comment card, Julie is at the back there. She is collecting them and bringing them forward. This is your last opportunity to get that. If you have one, please make sure you get that to her promptly. Okay, go ahead.
We have two public comment sections on the agenda. I'll just read the one that's appropriate for this one. The second public comment opportunity is for commenting on non-agenda items related to the business of the school district. Individuals must completely fill out the front of the card and indicate the specific business on which you wish to speak. Please submit the card to Julie, who has brought them to us. We ask that speakers refrain from making abusive statements about school board members, employees, volunteers, or contractors. Speakers are encouraged, if they have complaints about these folks, that they should use the appropriate process established on the board policy. Individuals will be invited one at a time to the podium. Before beginning your comment, please state your full name, and at that time, we will start the timer, allowing each individual 3 minutes to make the comment. The 1-minute notice will be provided by flagging a red card. You'll need to complete your comment time upon being notified that 3 minutes have passed. Board members do not respond to public comment. Concerns will be brought to the attention of appropriate staff. We value your input and thank you for sharing with us.
All righty. First up, we have Lucas Leverett, and on deck we have Tom and Now Sword. I'm not sure if that's right. It's a little funny, but handwriting I can't quite. But if you're here, you'll be up next.
Ainsworth?
Well, if you're trying to make up for last time, you don't have to keep putting me first, but it's okay, I appreciate it. So, national election results look a little bit like doom for public education. Facts and reality apparently don't matter as much as the price of eggs for the electorate, reinforcing again how much we need to get civics and economics back into the front and center of our curriculums. We can get on that in maybe 5 years, if the Republic survives. For now, I'm going to make an active choice to invest my energy and hope locally. Since our GR elections have rendered some really great results, we're getting a more straight-talking mayor, and the establishment was solidly whooped in the 1st and 3rd wards. And the school board election gave us some truly interesting potential. Clearly, I'm not the only voter who was refusing to let the Union or the Democratic Party and their operatives tell me how to vote. The big headline for the second cycle in a row is that a young community activist got the most votes. This continues to tell me that this town is not the stodgy establishment haven that it once was. And this new board will be a breath of fresh air as we bid a fond farewell to some of those who've chosen to stand in the way rather than lead. I look forward to giving this new board a chance to do a reset. I'm looking forward to coming to better energy together with a new board that feels the same way. I congratulate the winners, and I'll see them next year.
Tom Ainsworth, if you are here, and on deck we'll have Jamar Sterling.
Yeah, hey, I want to talk to you real quickly. I lived in East Grand Rapids most of my life, moved over to Grand Rapids 5 years ago. 20 years ago in East Grand Rapids, I was the lead guy that put the turf in or got the turf in over at their middle school. Fought with a lot of people and got that done. It was the second turf put in Grand Rapids. Since I moved over here on Ridgeview, I've gotten involved with your athletic program, primarily with the football team. And for the life of me, I don't understand why there's not a turf put in out here yet. When I saw that turf go in East Grand Rapids, the amount of people that were playing on it, neighborhood kids, it was constant activity. Constant. Out here, we got a field that's unsafe for the kids to play on. It doesn't get watered. 3 years ago, it was me that brought in the fire hose and watered the field because it had gone over a month without water. Now, in the meantime, there's been a bunch of bonds passed and money available for the turf. It was either 2 years ago or 3 years ago, I had lunch with the superintendent and a bunch of others that were willing to put in money to get the turf put in. And the guy's name, I think it was Earnhardt Construction, had told the superintendent at that time, because the foundation was going to put in money, he says, don't wait for the money to come in from outside people, because the cost to put this in is going to raise higher and faster than the amount that you raise. Well, since then, I believe it's 2 bonds have passed for the money. I see kids come over here all the time getting tours of the facility, athletes and whatever, and they look at that practice field, and then they go out to Kentwood and look at what their facilities are, what their turf is. Where do you think those kids are going to go? I could name you 9 kids that left Grand Rapids schools and went to Kentwood School to play football, in large part because of that turf out there that isn't in place. Like I said, I had lunch with the superintendent. I went back home here and I looked up on December 12th of 2022, I gave the athletic director here at Ottawa Hills all the information from Kelvin College that they used to put in their turf, the engineering firm, the architect that was used at Hope, at West Ottawa, at Holland High School, and over at Kelvin. I gave you the blueprint for all of it. And then I talked to a gentleman here tonight who's in charge of facilities, who's telling me now it's 1.5 years before this is even going to be looked at to be put in again, because you need to go out and get bids and so forth. My God, the cost is going to go up $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 more waiting another year. I've given you all the stuff that you need to put the proposals out to the people. I don't understand how you can wait and watch these costs rise, and who knows what's going to come on economically that's going to
Thank you.
It. But I mean, you've got
That's your time,
to
sir.
start
Thank you so much.
moving.
Jamar Sterling. On deck, we have Bianca Bridgeforth.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Jamar Sterling, community youth activist, youth mentor assistant. We was here in July, 2 months after Javion Childry was shot in the face by his friend at Aldridge Middle School. And in that time in July, we asked for the suspension of Charlie Lovelady for the unethical handling of the situation, dealing with both Javion and Monte, not just prior to the shooting, but after the shooting. It is unethical for a principal to tell students and give them permission to leave the building or say, it's okay, I'm not going to stop you, you can leave if you want to leave, according to Charlie Lovelady's statements himself. It is unethical for a principal not only to agree to feed the children after they come back to school for a second time without even contacting the parent the first time, according to Bianca phone records themselves, to escort the students off of the school premises because they refuse to get searched under the pavilion. I believe students are supposed to be supervised, and within those minutes going to outside to eat lunch because they refused to be searched. Javion was almost killed by the accidental shooting of his friend. According to the board policies and rules procedures, correct me if I'm wrong, if you refuse to be searched, you are to call the parent or you are to call law enforcement, which was never done. Again, we have proof that the only call that we had was a tardy call around 10:06 a.m. Saying that Javion was tardy. Again, there were alleged behavior complaints that was going on. We know to be true based on Javion's conduct in school. But again, based on those conducts, unethical for a principal to fold under pressure and just tell the kids to leave. He knows these kids' behavior issues. He knows they're at-risk kids. You don't tell a child to go outside under pavilion to eat lunch unsupervised. Again, it's unethical. Within those minutes, Javion, who sits in the back, was almost killed and suffered, blind in his right eye permanently, deaf in his right ear permanently because of the unethical decisions that could have been made. Things could have been prevented. Accountability has been held from Bianca. Accountability has been held from both students. Accountability has been held from the grandmother who now has guardianship over Monte. We're just asking for the accountability of Lovelady based on the handling, again, before the shooting, during the shooting and after the shooting, a lack of interest in even reaching out to the mom. But we do thank Bridget Cheney and Larry Johnson for meeting with us, but no follow through. And we just ask again, follow through. We will be here every Monday until Charlie Lovelady is suspended pending investigation of our allegations, and show the video. Compare the statements on what the young men have told me, both young men who I mentored.
This time.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Bianca Bridgeforth, and next we have Richard Trapp.
Yeah, I'm Bianca. I'm Javion's mother. It's a lot, and it's a lot to start from. My child did not walk out the school building. I have proof that my child was put out the building, walked out the building. He fought to get in the school. He didn't run away from the school. There was no search, there was no phone calls, there was no meetings. There was no even if my son have made it. No one still have contacted me with the investigation, or supposed to be an investigation, as far as Charlie Lovelady. I have filed complaints. 2 hours I sat on the phone, and the complaints disappear. I have complaint number, and it's still nothing. She said that could be done, but refile it. So I will refile it, and I will be here every Monday following the shooting of my baby May 21st. As a parent, I stand here behind my baby, being his voice and other kids' voices.
Actually, there was 2 complaints filed. We have the complaint numbers from GRPS and everything else, and all of a sudden, miraculously, we have no
Mr. Sterling,
complaints
she
being filed.
cannot. Thank you. Mr. Trapp, and on deck we have D. Jones.
Good evening, Board and Superintendent. I want to thank you guys for your service. When I started at Union High School, they asked me, what's your why? And I had to think back to all those years ago, because I've been a teacher for 34 years. And it was ultimately, you know, I love to see the light bulb of understanding. You know, I wanted to make the world a better place. But over time, you know, I realized I had to support my family. I had to worry about my own needs and my own sanity. And it brings me to, is GRPS a destination or a quick stop for its employees and teachers? You know, is the pay competitive? You know, they were talking about the hard cap on one of the bills that's in our lame duck session, and if that doesn't go through with the raise in insurance rates, it's going to be like all of our teachers are taking a pay cut. Matter of fact, all of our employees. You know, do we have the best working conditions? Do we support our teachers with their ELL students, at-risk students, special ed students, and even the traditional students that sometimes kind of get ignored because we're dealing with all of the hard things going on with a lot of the other groups? And I know that, you know, I'm sitting here making an appeal because I want GRPS to be a destination, a place people want to end their career, not a place that's a quick stop. I know I've heard we need to have an abundance of caution. We need to be safe financially. We need to be stewards of the money that we're in charge of, and that's your job, and I totally get that. I really do. But who wants their child to not have a teacher? Because I don't know, we're 70, 80, 100 teachers short. I'm sorry, I don't know the exact number. You know, teachers and staff need to be our priority one. I think we've gone a little too far with caution. We're spiraling in the wrong direction. And we need our people to be number one. Because the school is not the buildings. It's the people that are making education great for our kids and our community and making this world a better place. Thank you.
Thank you. D. Jones, and then we have Jackie Spritzer on deck.
How y'all doing? I'm D. Jones, passionate entrepreneur and visionary. First off, I want to thank the school board for investing in the esports and my advocacy. I've been advocating for 6 years. Just recently, I was just on Channel 8 News. I did a live TV interview with Channel 8 and it was viral. I got like 3,100 likes on the post and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool to be able to organically do something, get the Safe Pitch Task Force 2018 and then earn another $10,000 grant, and then get on the news and get people globally, like people all across the globe, to like the story. And big companies. Today I actually ate lunch with the Frey Foundation. The Frey Foundation found out about the cool stuff. As you guys know, the Freys is one of the families that actually helped build the city and helped the DeVosses and the Van Andels build their facilities that we utilize for different sporting events and conventions. But I asked the DeVosses and the Van Andels at the CAA and the board, eventually, can we eventually host the state championships? And eventually, I know that students across our city and across our school district will potentially be able to compete there. I'm really excited to do these esports activations in partnership with you guys because I have a lot of big foundations. I run into a lot of powerful people and a lot of influential people. And I asked Doug DeVos today because they had Teresa Neal, who was the old superintendent, and some law professor, but I asked them about ethics because I wanted to challenge them on ethics. We sat there and we spoke about ethics, but I think they can do better ethically. And I know that a lot of people on the Republican side doesn't support public education, but like I said, I'm going to continuously fight the good fight, and I'm going to continuously show up, and I'm going to continuously do what's best for my community and the education system and for all students. So I'm very excited to be able to partner with you guys to open up the esports lab, do some esports activations, educating kids on NIL, content creation, podcasting, game design, shoutcasting, opening up the gym, because I love basketball, I love the hoop still to this day. Also open up the film and video lab in the music studio because I am a director. I just shot a production in Detroit called Gamers. We sold out, and we're going to be, we're actually speaking to Netflix. We have to get a distributor first, and we're also going to have it on Tubi by January 1st. I believe it's going to eventually get to these other platforms as I get on these other news stations and I do these TV interviews and I get these esports activations out there. But I've been able to speak to a lot of big foundations, a lot of people that have deep pockets and a lot of cash, and they want to pour it back into the school district. So a lot of this funding and advocacy and people that I speak to by spring break is really going to be all to try to pour it back into the students and get them some scholarships and pay them some cash for playing video games and esports. So I'm very excited to partner with y'all, and I know I'm one of the best innovative leaders in the city for sure. Thank you.
Lastly, we have Jackie.
Good evening, Board. Earlier today, you heard about House Bill 6058 about the insurance and how in 2011 that bill was passed. What I'd like to ask you is if you could kindly go back and do the history of that bill. Because when that bill passed, many people, older teachers, looked at younger teachers or people thinking about being teachers and had discussions. Do you really want to be a teacher because the insurance is not that good anymore? People used to be teachers just for the insurance. Now, when we were doing our insurance in the last month, I know I had colleagues saying, my insurance premiums are so expensive. So I'm going to ask you guys, can you really think about how GRPS can help the staff so we can get better insurance again? How can we get salaries to increase so people do want to come to GRPS? How do we make it so our students don't suffer or have overcrowded busing? Many of our students already have a couple strikes against them. How do we make it better for our kids of GRPS in Grand Rapids? Our kids need the mental help. The school I'm in right now, we don't have a counselor, and our school needs a counselor. How can we get those people? I have kids in 4th grade that do not know multiplication facts, and it's very, very sad. How can we get our students to be more productive citizens of GRPS? So I'm going to ask, how do we fill the classrooms with certified teachers? How do we improve the buildings that house our students? What can we do for our students? That's all what I'm going to ask. And, well, one more thing. Dr. Roby, could you kindly call Rapid and help the overcrowded? Like, how do we do that? How do we get it so our kids aren't crowded into city buses? Can we, I mean, do you have power? And I'm being sincere. But do you have power with Rapid to maybe get an extra bus over there? That's all what I'm going to ask. Thank you very much.
Thank you. As we conclude the public comment, we'll go to the superintendent's comments.
So good evening, everyone. First of all, let me say to Mrs. Bridgeforth, I don't know if she's still here, I can't see in the back. My heart, I'm a mother, so let me say that first and foremost. I'm a mother. My heart goes out to everyone involved in what took place outside of Alger this spring. No one wanted that to happen. We don't take that lightly, and I need to say that our district is committed to making sure that our schools are safe. There's no one, this board, our leaders, our support staff, that want to see children and staff in harm's way. Safety is something that we do care about, and so I have to say that. I also want to just lift up some of the things that we have done since the incident that took place this past spring. We have enhanced some safety measures over the past year, and that includes the daily use of metal detectors at that particular school, the installation of alarms at all exterior doors. We've increased the presence of safety and security staff, as well as implemented and hired a retired mentor teacher to work specifically with that team. We've been intentional about continuing to foster relationships with the scholars in the school community and connections around Alger community. Over the summer, we had a partnership with Grand Rapids, the City of Grand Rapids, as well as some local entities and organizations, and we opened up Alger Middle School on Friday and Saturday evenings to give young people a safe place to be for activities, games, chess, and just wanting to be really intentional about that. We also have collaborated with Save a Life a Day to host a back-to-school bash. Together, we are still working to create a safer and stronger program. We're committed to continuing to improve. And again, I want to reiterate, there is nothing that we won't do to help make our schools better. And when things do happen, we have to look at what has gone well, and then also how do we make improvements. And so we will also follow up with the people who spoke out this evening, just to continue to make those connections, because I think that is important. Just very quickly to Mrs. Spritzer, I think it was. So oftentimes people do see us taking notes. We're taking notes to find out what's going on so that we can do some follow-up. And so it's not that we're ever disengaged in the work. We're taking notes to collect what's been stated so that we can, as our board secretary reads into our announcements, that we're taking notes so that we have the follow-up and can do those secondary things. So we do take that very seriously. Am I doing the other announcements with, or is that Mr.?
We'll do that.
You're about to do
We'll
it?
do that after.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
All done?
I am done.
All right, we'll start with our student rep, Rima. Do you have any comment?
Not really. A lot of it was great, and I really resonate with the rapid buses. I really think that something should be done for that, because I wrote the rapid buses before, and they've kicked off many students in which they have to find a way home, and not all of them speak English either, and so it's harder for them to find a way home. And so the rapid buses are my biggest concern that I love that was brought up tonight. Everything else was great, but I don't have any more comments after that.
Thank you. And Fabiola.
Kind of piggying off that, I do think the rapid bus is another issue. Just getting on that first bus is like people are leaving class early to get there, and people are running down to get to that first bus. And I did like what was said with Dean Transportation and the cameras, so that we know what's going on quicker. And I like the installation of like the tablets. That sounds like a good idea to me.
Ms. Melton?
And that's it.
I wasn't going to speak so that I allowed everyone who's going off to say something, but I can't not at least say thank you. I'm just very aware that in the work of the board, it's really hard for everyone to know what's happening behind the scenes. And so those of my colleagues that are going off this coming month, I'm just very aware that most of you were on during a time of a lot of change, during the 2016 election and all of the changes that brought, during COVID, during a time of not having a superintendent and twice, going through a process of finding the right person and listening to the community during that, and taking on the big job of thinking about our facilities as a whole and listening to the community during that part. And just thank you for the work you've done to set our district up for the success that it is growing in. So thank you.
Ms. Wade?
Well, I'll echo what Sarah just said, and I also want to uplift the young scholars that talked about the bus. I remember our buses were packed, and I never would have thought to come to the school board and just uplift the conditions. I just got in where I fit in. So I appreciate young people speaking up for themselves and expecting and having better expectations for themselves. I also want to thank all community that comes out to these meetings and uplifts concerns, because we don't know what we don't know. And so we appreciate public comment so much. And yeah, thank you.
Mr. Ross?
No comment.
Alrighty. Ms. Shockey?
No comment, Mr. Ross. Final one. That's all right, I'll make up for your time as I have prepared some remarks. So I will ask you just to indulge me for a few minutes as I reflect on my service, my time here in GRPS, definitely express gratitude and share some wishes as I depart. All right, so in March of 2016, I was appointed to serve on Grand Rapids Public Schools Board of Education, actually thanks to my colleague, Mr. Ross, who made the motion to start the motion for my approval. My daughter Brooklyn was just 9 years old at North Park Montessori, and my son Jax was just 5, beginning his GRPS journey at Wellerwood. My family stood alongside me as we made the decision for me to step away nearly every Monday night for nearly 9 years, and it really has been almost every Monday night. So I want to just first thank my kids, Brooklyn and Jax, for giving up the most so that other children could gain. I'm so grateful to my family. To my parents and my fiance, Jay, who's in the audience tonight, thank you for showing up for my kids when I couldn't, at every game, every concert, or every bedtime routine that I missed. And to Jay, my love, thank you for the dinners or the glasses of wine or the turn-down covers to welcome me home from the especially long Monday nights that we sometimes have. I love you all so much, and I couldn't have done this without a village. When I began my board service, I truly used to daydream about the day that I would get to sit on stage and see my daughter walk across at her graduation. And last spring, I got to do that as she left GRPS and headed to Michigan State. Go Green! Thank you. I'm getting used to that. Grand Rapids Public Schools, thank you for some of the most incredible moments of my life. When I joined this board, I was admittedly fairly naive, knowing very little about the privilege or the magnitude of the work. Over the years, I've definitely experienced some of the hardest work I've ever done, some of the greatest conflicts, and some of the highest impact decisions I've ever made. I've celebrated extraordinary staff, many of you in this room, and scholars, and participated in milestones like opening Southwest Middle High and Museum High School, creating a district-wide strategic plan, passing a bond, and so much more. I also had the life-changing experience of leading alongside our incredible superintendent as her board president during a global pandemic. And what a privilege it's been to be one of the 9 who lead. This work has profoundly shaped me as a person. I was raised in a very different place than Grand Rapids, and I had a lot to learn. Engaging in equity work as part of this board has been one of the most transformative experiences of my life and has challenged my thinking and reshaped how I lead professionally and personally. Gaining that equity lens will continue to guide me for the rest of my life. Grand Rapids Public Schools, thank you. So to our new board members, some of who I think are still in the audience, some advice if you're in the market for a little, take it or leave it. This boardroom, or a usual boardroom, can sometimes make the micro appear as the macro. Not always, sometimes it is the macro, but sometimes. The boardroom is where the unsolvable problems land. But remember that every day, thousands of our issues are resolved in this system efficiently and quietly without ever reaching this room. So keep a balanced perspective. Hold the district accountable where it's necessary, and it will be necessary to hold the district accountable. But please celebrate its successes whenever and wherever you go, especially outside of this room. You are responsible for recognizing both the challenges and the triumphs of this district. And if you have kids in this district like I do, check yourself at your dinner table. Ask if what you're experiencing here is what they're experiencing in their schools. And if you don't have children, please find some scholars to engage with, because they are our North Star and should be in every decision that you make. And please enjoy the privilege of knowing about snow days about 1 minute before everybody else. Your kids will love it. I read this out loud to my son, and he grinned quite wide. He is going to miss having that privilege. I'm almost done. Facilitators at board retreats often ask what we want our legacy to be as board members. And my response, like so many of my colleagues at this table, has always been, I just want to leave Grand Rapids Public Schools better than I found it. I struggle to claim that I've done so not because the district isn't better, it is, I promise you, but because I alone could never make this district better. The real and only power lies in this body of 9. Together, we have the ability to move mountains for children. We have the ability to leave GRPS better than we find it. So now I'm placing my trust in you, those in the audience, and those who remain at this board to do just that. So take the time to get to know your peers and invest in this work. So now, as I prepare to pass this roll on, let me leave you with 3 wishes if I had a GRPS genie in a bottle. First, I'd wish for infinite wishes, of course. Second, I'd wish to unify our athletic programs. This might be controversial, but I believe combining our athletic teams into one would allow us to pool resources, enhance coaching, improve equipment, develop feeder programs, and build better facilities, maybe even replace that turf. We would move into a more competitive conference, which would be really challenging for a while. But I know we build a unified school spirit across GRPS. Our scholar athletes inspire incredible community among themselves and in the stands where our families and supporters cheer them on. And we know, as we heard tonight, that attrition happens at the middle and high school transitions, and competitive athletics is part of that why. Athletics are such a powerful motivator for academic success, and I, for one, would absolutely support a bond or millage to fund any attempts to improve athletics, arts, and all of our extracurriculars, including esports. D, if you're still in the room. Okay, third, I'd wish to include career and technical education in GRPS. This is what I campaigned on so long ago, and we have the perfect structure for it. By leveling up our career-focused academies like the ones here at Ottawa into state-approved career and tech ed programs, we could offer high school credit for our scholars, college credit, and industry experience. It would require strong leadership at the executive director level, and I know that, but we have to end the misconception that CTE is only for our scholars who are not college-bound. The research says that scholars who participate in career and tech ed are more likely than their peers to go to college. I'd love to see us evolve into career and tech ed programs and evolve our IB offering to include a career-focused program, because IB does drive enrollment to Grand Rapids Public Schools. Okay, my last and final wish, should that genie not give me my infinite wishes, is that we would see radical support for our GRPS community. In my nearly 9 years of serving, I've observed seasons where holding the district accountable has sometimes shifted into a culture of critique. And GRPS, like so many of the scholars we serve, exists often in scarcity. We simply don't have enough for what our scholars truly need. And for every step forward, it can often feel like we take 2 steps back. But imagine what could happen if this community truly rallied around GRPS. With bold philanthropic support, families committing to our PK through 12 experience, packed stands at Houseman, and every casual conversation ending in GRPS is a thriving district. I know this vision requires a lot. Internal culture work, which is in dire need, I know, but I can confidently say is in motion, and external community standing alongside GRPS. All right, that's it, folks. To our remarkable scholars, our exceptional staff, our dedicated families, our strong leader, Dr. Roby, and my dear, dear fellow board members, my friends, thank you for leaving me better than you found me. I'm going to miss this work, and I'm really going to miss all of you. Thanks for a few extra minutes tonight.
Thank you, Ms. Jackie. Mr. Rodriguez.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I don't have a speech. I'm staying, whether you like it or not, I don't know. I just want to say, thank you to everyone that comes to our board meetings. I hear of, we need turf on the football, on our practice field. We need to focus more on safety. We need to have more need to have more counselors. We need to have more wraparound services for our students. We need to have better insurance for our staff. And I agree on all those things. And I just want to say, regardless of how how my thoughts differ from my board colleagues, we here on the board are just, and leadership in GRPS, we're just tasked with the impossible. And if you paid attention to our, public school funding, you'd know that we didn't get a per pupil increase this year. And so thinking about just the fact that we're asked to do more with essentially less. So I hope that folks realize that regardless of what, may go on in public, what you may hear, what you think is going on in different schools, I think all of us are dedicated to this work, and we all just come at it from a very, we might come at it from very different perspectives. But I don't think, this is to be envied, because it's tough work, it's thankless work a lot of the times folks don't know what goes on behind the scenes. And not to say that we don't have things that we could do better, of course we do, but it is some tough work to decide what we're going to make a priority, what's going to take a back seat. Folks are going to be maybe upset in some instances, and that's just something that you got to deal with. So I just want to say thank you to all the board colleagues that are leaving us, and welcome to the new board colleagues that are joining us in January. But I've only been doing this for 2 years, and I just want to say thank you to all of you that have stuck around for so long, and I hope that we continue to make you proud as we lead GRPS forward. And that's all I got to say. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Eatman.
Well, thank you for that pause, because I too have made some remarks. So Jen and I are typically always on the same page on a lot. So with a humble heart and gratitude, I want to thank my fellow colleagues, and especially this community, for allowing me the opportunity to serve on the Grand Rapids Public School Board of Education. It has been a true privilege to be a partner in our continued journey in educational excellence. I believe deeply in the power and promise of public education, a value I have upheld in every step of my serve. This community has shown us the importance of diverse voices in shaping the future of our schools, each voice a critical piece of the puzzle in building unique solutions to the complex issues we face daily. As a district, we have urgent work ahead, from addressing the teacher shortage in the wake of Elevate K-12 to ensuring our staff are compensated competitively. These challenges are real, and so are the opportunities we have to solve them. I sought this seat with a commitment to serve without personal gain, with a focus on effective, equitable change for every student, educator, and family in our district. It's my hope that we continue to build a culture of unity, working together towards a shared vision and inviting the community to walk alongside us each and every step of the way. Our work is strongest when we are united and accountable, and accountability should be a tool that fosters growth, not division. In 2 years, I've had the opportunity to contribute more than $150,000 in investments to our district through various initiatives. $50,000, excuse me. These efforts have supported career exploration programs in our schools, much what Jen just mentioned about our CTE programs, ensuring that every student has access to meaningful, powerful pathways for their future. I've championed educational equity by supporting academic programming in each quadrant of this district and partnered with GRPS Public Schools Foundation to fund critical initiatives that develop and directly benefit our students. Recognizing the challenges of educational disruption due to transfers and other life circumstances, I worked along surrounding districts to create solutions that support stability for our families and students, regardless where they end up. I've also supported students in their graduation needs, recognizing that every milestone matters, and collaborated with my colleagues to restructure policies that were outdated, facility master plans to really help shape the future of our schools, and the budgets that we continuously mull over with each other at almost every meeting. These contributions were driven by simple yet powerful truths. When gaps emerge, we all stepped up to meet them because that's what our students in this community and district deserves. And moving forward, I encourage each of us to communicate with care, understanding that the next generation is watching and learning how we approach both our successes and, more importantly, our challenges. Let us model the values we hold dear: respect, empathy, and an unwavering dedication to the community, this community and district we serve. To the students, families, educators, and community members, I say this: the work is not over. While my role may shift, my commitment to this district remains steadfast. I look forward to supporting our schools and community from a new vantage point, with the same passion, determination, and heart advocating for equity, excellence, and opportunities for all. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for your trust, your support, and the incredible opportunity to serve this district. I could not have done this without all of you and the community. Thank you.
Ms. Davis?
I'll keep it short, but I do want to recognize my colleagues, Jen, Kathy, Reynard, and Jordan. Thank you so much for your dedication to this board and to this community. Something that I highly value about our board is that each individual comes with such different life experience and different expertise and perspectives. And I very much value the conversations that we have where we push each other, right? Where we ask questions and share our differences and come to a conclusion that we believe as a board is best for our kids. And I did just want to highlight, we get lost in the work because it is an unending process. Education is. It will continue to change and grow always. But Jen did such a wonderful job of highlighting some of the things that we've experienced together. And I've been on the board with 3 of you for 6 years, 1 of you for 2. And I just wanted to highlight, in those 6 years, we really dove into our equity policy, and later with this board currently revised all of our board policies, including new ends policy. We navigated COVID together. We navigated hiring a superintendent, the process with that, and something that I really thought came out of that as a positive for our district was developing just a wonderful way of collaborating with community. So that process still isn't perfected, but I really think that when we started looking for a superintendent, our collaboration with community and commitment to hearing voice throughout our community really grew, and we were able to establish what we wanted in a new superintendent with community input. And that process isn't perfect. We're still learning how to make that better, but I really think that was the start of a shift for GRPS. And the same thing happened when we moved into developing our strategic plan and then our facilities plan. These are all huge endeavors, and I am so grateful to have the four of you in those processes because your individual input and expertise were very valuable throughout all of those. So I also just want to thank you for your friendship that has developed throughout these years, and especially for, I just look up to all of you very much. So I've grown a lot because of the people that I serve with. So thank you so much. I know this won't be the end of seeing all of you because you all have servant hearts, and I know you will continue to support our kids and our community, and good luck. Thank you.
Ms. Downs-Lewis.
Well, this is my last school board meeting, and I have been coming to these every Monday for 8 years now. And when I was urged to run for the school board, my friend said, "Oh, you should be on the school board. You spent so much time as a teacher." And I thought, well, you know, education's education, but I found out when I got on this board, it wasn't quite that simple. And even though I'm sure that a lot of my background in education helped me with our work here, I also realized that one of the most important things that I have gained is not only the knowledge about how a school board is run, how they do their finances and all those kinds of things, but I've also been very fortunate that the employees, from Julie Anderson, who does everything, to the people that I work with coming in and out of the building, people I work with talking about curriculum issues and so on, or attendance issues, they've all been friendly and open and wanting to help us. And so for that, I will always be grateful. I've had an opportunity to learn so much just because I'm here in Grand Rapids Public Schools, which are very different from my history at Kenilworth Hills High School. But this has opened my eyes to a lot of new things, and I'm grateful for that. And I'm also grateful that I have had the opportunity, my two big things, I think. What are my two big things? Number one, I was a part of the committee that hired Dr. Roby, so that's got to be one of my high points. And the other one was I was also on the facilities plan, and I did not give up on something special for Aberdeen. So we're going to have something special for Aberdeen. But I want to thank my colleagues here on the board. I want to thank Dr. Roby. This has been an incredible experience, and I appreciate your friendships and your support. And I look forward to coming to school board meetings and talking to you, complaining about something.
Thank you, Kathy. I have so many comments tonight, so I'll start with thanking everybody for being with us. We appreciate your patience with us as we salute our colleagues as well, but we don't take it for granted that you have decided to come out and be with us, and so we thank you for that. I want to congratulate Rashawn Rogers, a student here at Ottawa Hills who has committed to play football at Michigan State.
Oh, yes.
I want to thank all of the staff, the artists, the singers, everybody that made the holiday card special. I want to encourage the public to reach out to our state legislatures as they are putting forth laws that affect public education. I'm going to ask that we push them to provide the dollars. No more unfunded mandates. It really does impact our schools and the work that we are trying to do here. I want to thank everyone who brought items for the pantry. Again, our students here at Ottawa Hills have a pantry, and we did ask that people provide donations. If you weren't able to tonight, we will still accept them. Just drop them off at the office. The students will greatly appreciate that. And then I want to speak to my colleagues who will, this is their last board meeting. Thank you, Ms. Shockey, for helping provide education around trades and construction to me. Thank you, Mr. Ross, for bringing your expertise around higher education to help me be better in the work that I do here. Thank you, Mr. Eatman, for your knowledge with regards to policy and city. We appreciate that expertise you bring. And of course, Ms. Downs-Lewis, your education and your English teacher and correction on grammar and all of that stuff. We greatly appreciate that. I appreciate how each of you have been patient with me. You've educated me, you've shared with me, you've challenged me, and most importantly, you have been champions for our scholars. Thank you so much for your work. And we do have something special for you all. So Dr. Roby.
So I'm going to invite up Mr. John Helmholt. As you know, Mr. Helmholt worked with our district as our Executive Director of Communication for a number of years, and we do have some proclamations that we would like to share with our outgoing board members. And just again, the two most powerful words in our community is thank you. It encompasses all that you've been to this community. And so I say to all four of you, thank you. Mr. Helmholt.
And I say thank you as well. It's, excuse me, it's truly an honor and privilege for me to be asked to come up here and to read these resolutions into the minutes so we can formally acknowledge your years of service and commitment. And it was my honor to serve alongside you. We achieved a lot, we lived through a lot, and knowing we're late in the game here, I'm just gonna get going, so. Mr. Raynard Ross, whereas Raynard Ross was elected to the Grand Rapids Board of Education and began a 4-year term of office July 1st, 2011. The length of his term was extended to December 31st, 2016 to accommodate the change in school board election law. Mr. Ross was subsequently re-elected to the board effective January 1st, 2017 for a 4-year term to be completed on December 31st, 2020 and re-elected January 1st, 2021 for a 4-year term to be completed on December 31st, 2024. Whereas Mr. Ross's service on the Grand Rapids Board of Education is 13.5 years upon the completion of his 3rd term, and whereas Mr. Ross also served on the Finance Committee in 2011, 12, 14, 18, 19, 24, and is Finance Committee Chair 2019, Academic Achievement Committee 2013, 15, 16, 17, 21, 23, and 24, and as the Academic Committee Chair 2023, City School Liaison Committee 2013, 14, 19, 20, 21, 22, and 23, and as the City Board Liaison Committee Co-Chair in 2022, Ad Hoc Legislative Committee in 2015, 16, and 17, Ad Hoc Calendaring Committee 2017, Policy Committee 2018 and 2021, and Legislative Committee from 2020, 2022, 23, and 24. And whereas Mr. Ross served in a board leadership role as secretary in 2013 and 14, as treasurer 2019, as vice president 2016, 17, 18, and 23, and as president in 2022. And whereas Mr. Ross contributed to the success of Grand Rapids Board of Education by providing his knowledge and expertise in a forthright manner during discussions and deliberations, demonstrating his commitment to all scholars of the Grand Rapids Public Schools. Now therefore be it resolved that the members of the Grand Rapids Board of Education and Superintendent Dr. Ledrian Roby, on behalf of the Grand Rapids Public Schools, do hereby congratulate and commend Mr. Raynard Ross for his years of service to the school district and the scholars of Grand Rapids, and wish him all the best in his future endeavors. Be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be presented to Mr. Ross and a copy be included in the board minutes. Jen Shockey. Whereas Jen Shockey was appointed to the Grand Rapids Board of Education effective April 16, 2016. Ms. Shockey was elected to the board in January 1st, 2017 for a 4-year term to be completed on December 31st, 2020, and re-elected January 1st, 2021 for a 4-year term to be completed on December 31st, 2024. Whereas Ms. Shockey's years of experience on the Grand Rapids Board of Education is 8 years and 8 months upon the completion of her second term. Whereas Ms. Shockey served on the Finance Committee 2016, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, or excuse me, not 20, 21, 22, where'd you miss the 20?
I don't
23 and 24. And as Finance Committee Chair 2017, 18, 22, 23, and 24. Ad Hoc Superintendent Transition Committee in 2018. Legislative Committee 2019 and 20. And as Legislative Committee Chair in 2019. Conference of the Committee Chairs 2020, City Board Liaison Committee 21 and 22, and City School Liaison Committee Co-Chair 2021, Ad Hoc Facilities Committee 2022, 23, and 24, and as Ad Hoc Facilities Committee Chair 22, 23, and 24. And whereas Ms. Shockey served in board leadership roles as Secretary in 2017, as Treasurer in 2018, 22, 23, and 24, and as Vice President 2019 and 2020, and President in 2021. Whereas Ms. Shockey contributed to the success of Grand Rapids Board of Education by providing her knowledge and expertise in a forthright manner during discussions and deliberations, demonstrating her commitment to all scholars of the Grand Rapids Public Schools. Now therefore be it resolved that the members of the Grand Rapids Board of Education and Superintendent Dr. Ledrian Roby, on behalf of the Grand Rapids Public Schools, do hereby congratulate and commend Ms. Jen Shockey for her years of service to the school district and the scholars of Grand Rapids, and wish her all the best in her future endeavors. Be it further resolved that a copy of the resolution be presented to Ms. Shockey and a copy be included in the board minutes. Kathy Lewis. Ms. Catherine Downs Lewis. Whereas Catherine Downs Lewis was elected to the Board of Education on January 1st, 2017 for a 4-year term to be completed on December 31st, 2020, and re-elected January 1st, 2021 for a 4-year term to be completed on December 31st, 2024. Whereas Ms. Downs Lewis' years of service on the Grand Rapids Board of Education is 8 years upon the completion of her second term. Whereas Ms. Downs Lewis served on the Academic Achievement Committee in 2018, 19, 23, and 24, Policy Committee 2018, 19, 20, 21, 22, and 24, and as Policy Committee Chair 2018, 19, 21, and 22, Ad Hoc Superintendent Transition Committee in 2018, Finance Committee in 2020, Legislative Committee in 2021, 22, 23, and 24, and as Legislative Committee Chair in 2023, and City School Liaison Committee in 2023. And whereas Ms. Lewis served in the board leadership role as Secretary in 2020, 2021, 23, and 24, and Ms. Downs Lewis contributed to the success of Grand Rapids Board of Education by providing her knowledge and expertise in a forthright manner during discussions and deliberations, demonstrating her commitment to all scholars of the Grand Rapids Public Schools. Now therefore be it resolved that the members of the Grand Rapids Board of Education and Superintendent Dr. Ledrian Roby, on behalf of the Grand Rapids Public Schools, do hereby congratulate and commend Ms. Catherine Downs Lewis for her years of service to the school district and the scholars of Grand Rapids, and wish her all the best in the future endeavors. Be it further resolved that a copy of the resolution be presented to Ms. Downs Lewis and a copy be included in the board minutes.
Thank you.
All right, last but not least, Jordan Eatman.
Jordan.
Excuse me, that's Jordan Eatman. Sorry, I'm getting gunky. Whereas Jordan Eatman was appointed to the Grand Rapids Board of Education effective January 1st, 2023, serving a 2-year term to be completed on December 31st, 2024. Whereas Mr. Eatman's years of service on the Grand Rapids Board of Education is 2 years, and whereas Mr. Eatman served on the Finance Committee 2023, Policy Committee in 2023, Legislative Committee 2024, and Ad Hoc Facilities Committee in 23 and 24. And whereas Mr. Eatman contributed to the success of the Grand Rapids Board of Education by providing his knowledge and expertise in a forthright manner during discussions and deliberations, demonstrating his commitment to all scholars of the Grand Rapids Public Schools. Now therefore be it resolved that the members of the Grand Rapids Board of Education and Superintendent Dr. Ledrian Roby, on behalf of the Grand Rapids Public Schools, do hereby congratulate and commend Mr. Jordan Eatman for the years of service to the school district and the scholars of Grand Rapids, and wish him all the best in his future endeavors. Be it further resolved that a copy of the resolution be presented to Mr. Eatman and a copy be included in the board minutes.
Alrighty.
Thank you so much for your service.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all, and this meeting is adjourned.
Board members, we want to do one.